What's going on, everybody? It's your favorite YouTuber, Austin Holloman, and we are back again today with another interview, again with myself. And tomorrow we will have another can cut loose more when we have Brazilian. Yes, we will have another guest on tomorrow as well. We will talk about some financial things that I believe that you guys should know. But today we're going to talk about my perspective about how traveling around the world has changed me and what I feel about the world today. And we have a special guest that will be coming up to interview me today. I appreciate him very well for coming through to do this interview. I know it's been long awaited because he asked me way back when I was in Paraguay. It's probably like 4 months ago. And that was when I was in Bolivia. So about 4 months ago. And I have not got back to it. But today we are back at it, and I appreciate him being patient with me. Thank you very much, sir. We have Todd Allen. What's going on?
Hello, sir. How are you, man?
I'm doing very well as always. How about you?
I'm great, man. I'm great. And I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show, to meet you, to talk with you, man. Because like I told you 4 months ago, I have been a fan. And I appreciate the fact that, I'm double your age. And I appreciate the fact that you've had enough courage to follow your dream. And I respect you for that. I appreciate, and I think more young men such as yourself need to do that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, what's the first? Well, first, go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody, who you are, what you do, where you're at.
Okay. My name is Todd Allen. I'm an integrated lifestyle and happiness coach. I created a company called Happyosity. And what I do is I help people to find happiness based upon the values that they have in their life. And I focus on 5 areas: income, education, travel, health, and lifestyle. And those are considered what economists call the 5 social determinants of wealth and 5 social determinants of health. And so what I do is I help executives and high performing individuals to find their values and to create happiness based on their values and create a long life of happiness and to live a longer and healthier life. That's what I do.
Absolutely, absolutely. That sounds amazing. So, what's the first question you have for me today?
Well, it's several areas, but the first question I want to know is, how did you get started? Right?
So for me, traveling was a social aspect. I had everything I needed in the States. Like I had a good job. Well, I was self-employed, but I had a car, my own place. I was doing well on that end, but socially, I felt like I didn't fit in, and I felt like the way how people were doing things, the culture of where I was at, and I just recently showed that by going back home,
Mm-hmm.
that things just did not go the way that made sense to me and a lot of other people too, apparently. So I wanted to change the language, the continent, the country, the culture, everything. So I came here to Brazil, but I started in Rio.
Okay.
And before I even spoke to anybody, I could just feel that I was in a different place and that
Mm-hmm.
people behaved a little differently. I found some places around the world are probably maybe slightly similar, but nothing like what I was experiencing when I was there.
Okay. So Brazil was actually the first country that you visited?
Yeah, first country.
Okay. So what was that planning like? I mean, when what was the impetus behind, okay, what'd you do? Throw a dart at a map and say, this is where I'm going?
I had always had Brazil as one of my countries of interest for years since I was a kid.
Hmm.
And I always liked Brazilian women. So I was like, oh, at first I was going to go to Jamaica or something like that. So I started to learn a little Spanish and I changed my mind and moved it to Brazil.
Okay.
And I asked a bunch of people, you know how that goes. Nobody's going to travel with you for the most part. They may say they will, but they won't.
Well,
And
they may not have the means to do so.
yeah, yeah. And if you wait on them, you'll probably never go. So I had one friend that agreed to go. We bought our tickets. I watched a lot of DJP. I seen Charles Tyler's videos about it, and I seen One MT's videos about it, a few other content creators as well. And I studied for months, like 4 months straight, just watching everybody's videos, several all throughout the day.
Okay.
I think I've watched all of their videos to this point. One MT and DJP, I probably watched 100% of their videos by now,
Right. Okay.
and or at least at that time. And I just made the move. I just went there and despite my family was like, "Oh, you need to pick your casket before you go. They kill Americans there." But being in Brazil is just like being anywhere else, if you ask me, just with a little more crime, and it's a little different because you don't know the language usually.
Right. Right. That's interesting. You said that you got to pick your casket. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
When you decided to move, was it okay? When you decided to visit, was it to become a YouTuber? Was it to make a career change, or was it to just get away from the U.S.?
It was just to get away from the US. I had no intent on being a YouTuber until my second trip. And I didn't even want to be a YouTuber. I just wanted to talk about it on TikTok. And the exposure I got and the reaction I got caused me to get online
Right.
to YouTube.
Okay. Okay. Because I think again, to you, all the credit to you for your success. And I started seeing your content right around, I think 30,000 is when I actually started following you. Prior to following you, I was looking at watching a gentleman, I Am Mara. He was probably the first one that I saw, and then I saw Ace. And so I caught all of those guys when they were relatively new in the space, and like yourself, they've become very, very successful. So how many countries have you seen or visited at this particular point in time?
I've been to 21 countries, and I've probably been to about 41, 42 cities, somewhere over 40 cities for sure.
Okay. Okay.
On 5 continents.
And so how has this changed your overall perspective of life, or how has this changed what you value in your life?
It made me value people a lot more.
Okay.
There was a very coldness I had developed from where I was at in Dallas, and now I've become more not as much as I should yet, but I've become more sympathetic and empathetic towards other people, and I just value simplicity and things going at an easy pace, a smooth, just a smooth transition into everything.
Okay. And so with that development of empathy for people, what has changed about you regarding empathy at this point as opposed to before you started your travel?
Can you elaborate more on that, like exactly what you mean?
Yeah, because again, I mean, some people, when they go to other parts of the world and they see that there's a different lifestyle, they may want to get involved in the community a little bit more, as opposed to when they're in their home country, because they may feel as though that when you help someone else outside of your own community where you were born, you may seem to or feel that you're more appreciated. It's sort of like a prophet is not honored in his own country, but he's more revered elsewhere.
Correct.
Okay. So is that kind of how you felt when you say that you're more empathetic to people?
Yeah, because I felt more appreciated, so I could actually care more. When
There
I
you
don't
go.
feel, when you don't feel appreciated, I don't think people gain more empathy towards other people if they feel that those people don't care about them anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Can you describe the ways in which travel has influenced your personal growth and development? I know you talked about empathy. Is there more that you can talk about in terms of your development?
I've become a lot more mature, a lot less self-centered, which kind of goes into empathy, I guess you could say. I think that's pretty much it, because it's so much that goes under those things. But I already had my style together before I left, but I could say I improved that as well.
Okay.
I manage my finances better as well too.
Has it helped you in your ability to communicate? I mean, you speak English, you know English, we're born and raised in English, but now you speak Spanish and you speak some Portuguese. I mean, you're a polyglot at this particular point. Has that helped you in your overall ability to communicate?
Yeah, I was saying on the last interview that you don't actually move to these countries if you don't know the language. Like, you can only get it's like an illegal Mexican coming to Texas and he doesn't know any English.
Right.
He can't. He's only limited to his community. It's the same thing over here. If you only know English, you don't really know too many people that speak Portuguese, which is the official language here.
Yeah.
So you don't actually move to the country. You just relocate, but you stay in a similar environment.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would definitely agree with that because me moving to Colombia, I had to be able to know the language prior to be, or at least some semblance of the language prior to coming here. But you get more fluent when you, certainly when you speak it every day. That's for sure. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced while traveling, and how did you overcome them?
The biggest challenges I face, scams. I haven't experienced that as much in Latin America as I did in Africa. That was probably the worst place for me to get scammed at on a consistent rate.
Yeah.
With scams, who I can trust, people having ulterior motives, because I don't think that being an American is the end all be all to people loving you in other countries, but for some people they can have intent and they disguise it as other things that may not be your best interest.
Yeah. Can you tell us about some of the proposed scams that you had to overcome or that you thwarted?
I wrote about this in my memoir for Tanzania, which was I had a tour guide in Tanzania, a guy that was showing me around for the entire 5 weeks that I was there. And he did a very good job at that. He showed me everything I needed to see in the city, introduced me to everybody. But the entire time, his entire plan was to scam me to get him to buy a car, for me to buy him a car for his Airbnb business, for it to be a chauffeur thing. He had this whole business plan wrote out. And it just didn't make sense. I was looking at his reviews on his Airbnbs. They were all bad. There was no furniture in these places he was talking about. It just didn't make sense. Stuff
Wow.
like that.
Okay. That's interesting. So how has traveling impacted your career as a YouTuber and social media influencer?
It's maybe become very firm on my beliefs, which is the social aspect. I'm 100% firm on what I've said the entire. I mean, some things are a little more. I found out some things were maybe not as true as I thought, but they're still true. But maybe it's a little more to those things. But now it's not like before where I had only went to Rio and Salvador, and well, let's just say I had only been to Rio and I had these beliefs, because then somebody could easily debunk it. Well, maybe that's just there, or maybe it's just a tourist experience. But how is it that I was gone for 18 months straight and I didn't bump into that same situation that I was at when I was in Dallas?
Okay. Now, there is some controversy in the manosphere space when you talk about passport bros versus digital nomads or expats. In what category would you consider yourself to be in if you had those three: passport bro, digital nomad, or an expat? Where would you consider yourself?
I would say a digital nomad more than anything, because I wouldn't say expat, because I still don't have a home base to this day. I have ideas that I would make my home base, but I still want to continue on my journey traveling throughout the world. So I have another year or so before I actually decide to stay somewhere. Years on end. And I wouldn't say passport bro, because most passport bros haven't been past 5 countries. You know, there's the same 5 countries that the majority of those people that identify as that go to.
Right. Okay. And I would agree with that too, because passport bros have been getting a bad rap. And I kind of look at, kind of what you're doing is more like the James Bond of that whole space, right? Because, you speak multiple languages, you can move within different cultures with relative ease. And again, people that have been following you can actually see your maturity and as well as your professionalism, because again, you've been growing your YouTube space, and you also have products that you can actually consult people and do things like that. So I would agree that digital nomad as well is a very good space for you to be in. So what cultural differences, again, we're talking about you going to different places in more than 5 countries. What cultural differences have you seen that surprised you most?
cultural differences that I seen when I first got to Brazil, and I'll say that Brazil because that was the first place I went to where I realized things were completely different, was how people had just common courtesy for everybody. People
Mm,
in Rio, when I first got there, with everybody, I mean, of course, that's not 100% true, but for the majority of the people that I met and interacted, and I saw that them interacting with, everybody just had a different level of politeness and just happiness about themselves and courtesy towards everybody.
mhm.
And also the kissing in Brazil. You know, women kiss you within the first 2 minutes. I've never seen anything like that. Like it
Uh-huh.
may happen in the States, but it's just a normal thing that pretty much everybody does here. Like it's just normal.
So how did you respond? I mean, coming from the Western mindset, or I should say, the North American mindset, when the women in Brazil kiss you, what goes through your mind? I mean, what immediately do you think at that point?
It's normal now, but before I was thinking like what the hell is this? Like this like this must be that green card thing they're talking about. Like I was thinking like it's a reason why she's doing it. But
Uh-huh.
then it kept happening again and again and again. And then everybody else was saying that. So I was like, I guess that's just a norm here. And that's what they say too.
Okay. So I mean, was it a confidence booster?
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They have beautiful women kiss you that you just met. Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So traveling is not easy, right? It's hard work to be living out of a suitcase a lot of times. How do you prepare yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally to travel so often, and in some instances to stay for a pretty lengthy visit?
I would say mentally, you have to learn to not build attachments to places. And I think I'm great with that. There's a downside to that because then you can't really build attachments to people. I mean, it's easier now that we have cell phones, smartphones. But I could imagine if you were doing this in the 90s that you would really just be detached from people because you couldn't attach. You know, I'll
Mhm.
be in Sao Paulo for a month and then I'll be in Manaus for a month and then I'll be in Europe. So whoever I met in these places, we can still keep in contact, but I can't build strong emotional relationships with these people
Mm.
because I won't be there until I decide to come back to stay for, years on end.
That is, does that cause you to feel lonely?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I can notice sometimes I feel kind of down for no reason. And it's
Hmm.
because I'm not around people. Like the guy when I first got here was another American guy. His name was Casey. Going out to restaurants and places with him every day, just being around other people, on a daily basis, besides women,
Yeah.
makes it a lot easier to do this. So it's the downside of being in places like Paraguay, or let's say a place like Paraguay, Uruguay, Bolivia, where there's not a lot of Americans,
Yeah.
is it's gonna take time to build another circle of friends. Like in
Yeah.
Kenya, I had to build a circle of friends, then I left them. Then I had to go to the next place and build it again, then I left them. So it's easy to never be lonely in Bangkok or Pattaya
Hmm.
or Medellin because there's thousands of people there that are like you.
Hmm.
But yeah, it does make it lonely at times.
Yeah, because if we're looking at again the five social determinants of wealth and of health from a social determinant perspective, from a lifestyle perspective, and in order to engage in those things that help you to live longer, having social connections is one of those things that research shows that helps a person live longer and to be happier. And so I think, like you said, if you're missing some of that, sometimes you could have some bouts of depression and some
Yeah, you have
anxiety.
mood
Sorry.
swings and anxiety.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's like like socializing is like exercising, if you ask me.
It is.
The minute you stop doing it, it becomes hard to do it again, and you get anxious about doing it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you couple that on, having a fear of, as you said earlier, being scammed, and being very super cautious, I can see that it would take some level of maturity and some level of finesse, right, to kind of not feel that way a lot. So, yeah, I mean, that's
Mhm.
again, I think that's very admirable that you have self-awareness and you can recognize that. So, from a political perspective, how has traveling changed your views on international politics, global politics, or even politics in your home country?
I would say that I realize now around the world, most of the places I've been to are super corrupt. Every country has corruption because people are corrupt. People don't do, and nobody on this planet does 100% the right thing on everything, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And then
Mm-hmm.
you put those people in a position of power and government, that's the same thing. But in the United States, I think that we don't see enough day-to-day corruption like you would see somewhere in Africa or Latin America,
Mm-hmm.
where you can pay the police to go beat somebody up for you. That kind of stuff doesn't really happen in the States unless you have a lot of money to do it.
Right.
Versus those other countries, it's pretty much accessible to anybody that can live in a impoverished neighborhood in the United States. If you have that level of income, you can do whatever you want in some of these African and Latin countries.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen the different, or how would you explain the differences in socioeconomics in other countries relative to the socioeconomics in the United States? I mean, is it extremely visible, moderately visible, or underground?
Are you talking about the wealth gap?
You have the wealth gap or
Yeah.
stratos.
Yeah, I would say the wealth gap is far greater in
Mhm.
places like, I use Santa Cruz, Bolivia, for example. The place that I was staying at, it was probably like a 15 or 20-minute rate. Like, the city is actually built in a circle. There's a
Mhm.
freeway that encloses the city in a circle. In that circle is something that would look like you're familiar with in the United States. The minute you drive out of it, it looks like you're in a whole new country.
Wow.
And we don't really have too many places, at least I haven't seen too many
Mhm.
places like that in the States, where it just dramatically changes like that.
Mhm.
So there's
Wow.
a very small amount of people that can live the lifestyle we live in a lot of these other countries.
So, how has traveling influenced your understanding and appreciation of diversity? I mean, even if we're talking about diversity of incomes or diversity of education or the like, how has that helped you when you talk about the development of Austin Hollerman?
The diversity of the things that I've been seeing around the world.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's matured me a lot, because if things follow me to different cultures and societies, more than likely it's not those places I'm at. Some people some people just don't learn. They just go from place to place and they never realize that they may be doing something wrong. But I
Mhm.
was definitely able to improve on the way how I looked at life and the way how I behaved with other people, because there's no way that somebody in Kenya said this problem that I have, and then I get to Paraguay and I have that problem, and it's in Thailand as well. If it's in, because those are all three completely different cultures.
Correct. Okay.
None of those people are alike that I just named. So yeah, if those type of things follow you around the world, then personal development becomes very easy by traveling. I think
Right.
you can get better personal development by traveling, by doing what I'm doing,
Yeah.
versus just going to one spot, and just staying there, because then you still might not notice it. But when you have so many spots, you have to notice it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because again, all behaviors learned, right? It's we are victims of our programming. So from you to take the programming that you have in the States, and now you're traveling to 21 different countries or more, and you
Mhm.
continue to travel, how has your programming, or how have you been able to overcome faulty or old programming?
I've been able to overcome faulty programming by, for example, we think everything outside of the United States is a shithole. That's what we're programmed to think, that the president isn't even safe in Brazil. That he lives in some favela or something somewhere.
Mhm.
It might be exaggerated, but that's what
Right.
a lot of Americans think. When I went to Africa, actually, I'll just stay in Brazil. When I went to Brazil,
Mhm.
people were asking me, they have malls down there, and I'm like, it's like a country of 280 million people. You don't think they have a shopping mall to buy clothes at? That they're all just at the kiosk
Yeah.
in the third world, type of. Every country in this world has a mall at this point. Even Vietnam, I mean not Vietnam, Cambodia was like
Yeah.
very run down and underdeveloped, and they had malls with the same luxury brands like Louis Vuitton that we have in the States.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. What would you say is your favorite part of the world? Asia, South America, North America, Europe. Where would you say would be the for at this particular point the most enjoyable place that you've been so far?
I would say each place has its own purpose.
Mhm.
So far, right now, Europe doesn't have any purpose for me. But I'll find out maybe whenever I go back, what purpose it may serve. But
Yeah.
Africa and Latin America are my favorite places so
Okay.
far. It pretty much there's some countries in Latin America like I didn't enjoy too much, but I could still stay there even though I don't enjoy it that much.
Mm.
Versus some places in Asia, there's some places I didn't really like, and I couldn't imagine myself living there. So Africa and Latin America are
Yeah.
two places I can pretty much be comfortable no matter what. I can, even if I don't like it, I would make myself comfortable there.
Right. Have you been to India yet, or do you have plans to go to India?
I'm planning to go there this year after Europe. Yes,
Okay.
I have
Okay.
never been though.
Okay. Okay. Make sure you go when it's not summer.
Oh, it's extremely hot.
Yeah, it's very hot, very hot, very hot. So let's talk about more country specific questions, if you may.
Okay.
Um, what lessons did you learn from the Philippines that you can carry with you today? And I know that the Philippines has a unique history. So what is it that you learned or gleaned from the Philippines?
What did I learn from the Philippines? I would say I added a little more patience. Maybe I really didn't do too much in the Philippines, but I
Okay.
guess if I went back now, I would learn one thing I would learn is how to adjust. I've
Mhm.
learned how to adjust to fit into my surroundings a lot better. Because before I'd be like, okay, yeah, 10 days, I'm getting out of here. Now
Mm.
I'm in Sao Paulo for a month, and it's probably been around 10 days now or a little more. And it's not my favorite city, but
Mm.
I'm still able to love it for what it is. So I
Okay.
would say adjusting.
So having traveled around the world, you have to be very aware of the exchange rate and what you gain your income in the um, the currency that you gain your income in and how far it can go based upon the other country that you may be in. How often do you look at exchange rates from that perspective? And how do you mentioned it before that you're a better money manager. What's the process that you go through?
Yeah. I would say I'm a better money manager now because when I first started traveling to Salvador, when I went there and I was actually living there and I planned to stay for a year,
Mm,
when the Ubers are $3, when you can eat for $5 or $4, and then you have all this, your cost of living drops to 1,500. Before mine was 5,000. Now it's what? Then it was 1,500, and you have $3,500 left over. Just like anybody else, I guess that's new to the country. Most people wouldn't admit it, but you're probably gonna start blowing that money on things that you wish you could have done in excess. For me,
mm,
that was hanging out, drinking, just getting in the Ubers and going to places that I didn't need to go. I just wanted to I was bored. I was just doing
mm,
random things.
mm.
So that what was the first part of your question though?
We're just talking about looking at the exchange rates, or how do you
Mhm.
actually manage that? I call it currency arbitrage, right? And so, with managing the currency, managing the different currencies, how do you then plan the type of lifestyle that you want to have?
Honestly, you know what? I really don't even look at the currencies anymore. I
Really?
do. I
Uh-huh.
when I go somewhere, I'll switch my currency converter app to that country so I can convert as I'm spending money.
Right.
But I'm just convinced that the United States is just super overpriced. So I don't even really look anymore. I just know that most places my money is at least double.
Okay.
It's at least double. Maybe not so well in Romania it was double too, I would say, if
Wow.
not triple. So I don't really pay attention to the currency too much.
Okay.
I have a budget, and if the cost of living is if it's $10 for me to eat a meal in Sao Paulo and it's $30 in Bucharest, Romania,
Hmm.
then I just budget accordingly.
Okay.
I just have a certain amount that I agree with myself to spend.
Is there a particular app that you would use prior to you I mean, you certainly plan out where you're going to go because you mentioned that you do budgeting. Is there a certain application that you use, like Numbeo.com or anything like that? You use any of those websites or apps to kind of help make the plan?
I believe the app I use is called Currency Converter, and
Currency conversion.
it can work offline. Of course, if it's offline, it shows you the last
Yep.
currency exchange
Yeah.
from when it was online. So
Yep.
I just download that app.
So how do you manage as a digital nomad then the tax situation, right? I mean that comes up because again, we all know that if you're a U.S. citizen, you know, it doesn't matter where you live in the world. They're the THEIRS, theirs. They think that what
Yeah,
you have is theirs.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so can you give any pointers on that, or give a do you have shout out to an accountant that we can all use?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this today. I'm going to write an ebook about how I save on taxes abroad. But I don't use an accountant
Okay.
because I've ran into some accountants and I tell them something and they're like, "Oh, really? You can do that?" I was like, "No way! I know that you went to school for this and you don't." And this is like this is not a new law. Like this
Right.
law has been around for decades, and there's no way that I just told you that. And
Right.
all I did do was buy this book called Tax Free Wealth. And
Hmm.
I didn't even finish the book. You know, I learned so much in the first 2 or 3 hours that I never felt the need to open it back up again. But
Wow.
there's things like the Foreign Earned Income Exclusion Act, the foreign what is it, the foreign tax credit, or it's something like that.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
some sort of tax credit, but
Yep.
you have for my lifestyle,
Hmm.
it's pretty much tax free because me buying my plane tickets, Airbnbs, Ubers, going out to eat is all work expenses because I post vlogs about the places I go to.
Yeah.
But it's
Right.
my work. It's even if I got audited, it's rightfully my work. This is
Yeah.
how I make my income.
Yeah.
So pretty much everything. I think the only thing I can write off is my clothes and my cigars. You know, stuff like that. Even if I take a chick on a date, that's part of my work.
Well, yeah. If it's an
You
interview,
know,
absolutely,
yeah, it's
absolutely.
part of my work.
Yeah.
Uh,
And the reason why I bring that up, Austin, is because again, I think what you're doing is an inspiration. Should be an inspiration. It's an inspiration to me as an older gentleman, but it should be an inspiration to younger people because you've really availed yourself to be a global citizen as
mhm,
opposed to just being in one location, right? And I think that's excellent because you can apply the knowledge that you've received. And we've been told in the United States that knowledge is power, but that's one of the biggest lies we've ever been told. The
mhm,
second lie was that you too can become president, right? Because it's not that knowledge gives you power, it's the application of knowledge which gives you power. And by the
mhm,
lifestyle that you're living, you're certainly applying the things that you've learned, and you're living
mhm,
a lifestyle which is a dream for most,
mhm.
so um, let me see here. I'm still talking about specific countries. You did mention Thailand, right? What
Mhm.
experience or what did Thailand teach you in particular? Um, and before you answer that, let me preface it by saying this. Do you research the history of any of the countries or most of the countries you go to before you go to?
So funny thing is, I don't, and I don't because all I do in my free time is watch history videos. Since I've
Okay.
been in middle school, I've been doing that. I've read many history books, so I know about the history of Turkey. You know, with the Ottoman Empire, and I know about the Iranians and the Saudis and all. Already know about a lot of history. I do learn some things. Like there's some stuff
Hmm.
in Zambia I didn't know. It
Hmm.
didn't matter, but I did
Uh-huh.
learn it. You know, but
Uh-huh.
I do know about the history. Yes.
Okay. And so what were the experiences like in Thailand? Because again, the further east we go, the less most of us know about it.
Hmm. I would say, it's a monarchy, so things were completely different. You know, you can't talk, just like you can say F Donald Trump, you can't do that over there.
No.
You know, they're locking people up for 80 years for doing that over there,
Wow.
literally. You know,
Hmm.
I seen a guy that was talking bad about the family there, and he got 82 years for
Oof.
talking bad about the family.
Oof.
So you don't get to talk about the government. I would not don't even mention them. You know, you don't want them to try to twist your words or anything. Don't even
Right.
mention it.
Right.
But people in Thailand were very polite. I can count on one hand, maybe 3 occasions where I ran into a rude Thai person. So it was a very polite, oversaturated with foreigner experience. Way too many foreigners in Thailand. Like you would have to go to a city where they speak no English, so you would probably have to learn Thai to get away from being around a 50% Thai, 50% foreigner experience.
Okay. Is there any one particular group of foreigners that you ran into most? Because
In
again,
Thailand,
I'm sorry.
in Thailand, I would say there's two. It's Americans and it was Russians. Americans, Russians, and Indians are the most I've seen out there.
Ah, okay, okay. That kind of surprises me. I would have thought that there would be a lot more Germans
They're
there.
there too. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Good. Good. Can you share at least one experience that you had that you would say that was the most transformative and the most impactful? And which country did you have that experience?
I wrote about this in my Tanzania memoir as well.
Are you trying to get on me because I didn't buy your book, man? Well, I mean, come on now. That's the third time you done said that, Austin. I mean, I'm starting to feel some kind of way, man.
No, this is a passive way of promoting it. It's a passive way of promoting
Okay, okay. Just say shameless plug next time. That way I'll be prepared. I won't take it personal.
Yeah. So I wrote about this in my memoir about just going to Tanzania, to Dar es Salaam, Tanzania was a life-changing experience because I was around, and this doesn't mean they're all impoverished, but let's be honest, impoverished Black people that weren't rude, that weren't aggressive or violent. You know, Dar es Salaam is one of the most peaceful cities I've experienced. And you can get pickpocketed or something like that there. It never happened to me, but it was a life-changing experience on how I viewed people that looked like me. Because in the States, that's not necessarily, if you go around to a very poor Black neighborhood, it's not the same experience as it is there.
So when you say there's levels of poverty as well. So in terms of measurement, what would be the difference between an impoverished area in the States and the poverty you experienced there?
The poverty that I've seen in Dar es Salaam looked like they just got hit by a nuclear bomb. You know, it looks like there was a house that had this huge hole, and it was like maybe a little dirt on one side that looked like it was holding the entire house, and it looked like a bunker was underneath there. I don't know how that happened, but the entire neighborhood looked like somebody just came through and shot it up and blew it up. And they were pretty much, they were living like stereotypical Africans that we would imagine on the History Channel in that one area.
Did you how when you first arrived in Africa on the continent, how did you feel? Did you feel that it was like a homecoming, or I mean, what went through your mind emotionally, if anything?
At first, I thought I had made a mistake. I thought I had made a mistake. I was like, I was going to stay here a week or 10 days, but I'm only going to do 3. And I'm going to try to find there has to be some other African country that's a little more developed. But then I realized just because it was underdeveloped, which it is, that it doesn't mean that it was as dangerous or inconvenient as I thought. There were inconveniences, power going out and stuff like that, dirt roads everywhere, you know, but
so
I began to love it.
Which country was that when you went into Africa, which country was the first stop?
Tanzania.
Okay. And so how many different African countries or African nations had you visited during this time period?
That was the first one, and then I went to 4 other East African countries, and then I went to Zambia, Ghana, and Senegal.
Okay. And what was it like in Senegal? Because again, if I'm not mistaken, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, Senegalese speak French. Okay. How was that experience? I mean, even from a political perspective, did they talk much about the French in any way, shape, or form, or anything political from that perspective?
They mentioned them, but they didn't go on. And I think African Americans, or I should say Black people in America, talk more about colonialism than the actual Africans do. Like
Okay.
when I was in Africa, it seems like we complain more about stuff that didn't happen to us. That it's like we sit there and talk about, well, the white people went over there and messed up Africa, and the Africans know it, of course, but they
Right.
don't sit around and talk about it as much as we do. I don't know
Okay.
why that is,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they didn't complain about it. Plus, there's still a lot of French people there.
Right. And
Mhm.
so what is it like from the standpoint of, we know we hear things, and some people say that they have this experience that when Africans come to the US, they become very, in a short period of time, at a higher economic status or a higher economic status or financial status than African Americans who have been there for, since Jesus was a little boy.
Mhm.
When you then travel to a country in Africa, how do you believe that you're viewed by them?
Well, I can tell you based off what they've done, they view us like we got all the money in the world.
Mm.
When I was in Senegal, and I hadn't even walked out of the airport, the part where you scan your bag, your check bag, or your everything, I guess, before you walk out the airport, they scan your bag. There's a guy hiding behind the machine. He just told me to give him $20. That kind of stuff. Or they try to up the price of the taxi. I rode the same taxi route every day. It would be the equivalent of like $5 or $6. This guy wants $13. And
Mm.
I'm like, I do this every day. But they think that we just bleed money. When I went to Santiago, Chile, we had agreed on $50 for the Uber ride. He adds an extra zero. None of my cards are working. I'm like, there's no way that 5 cards haven't went through. So
Uh-huh.
I gave him one card. I was like, this one has to work. And then he just takes the machine, takes the receipt, and burns off. I couldn't even chase him because he did it in such a quick manner. And he had charged me $550.
Ooh.
Yeah, he charged me. Well, it was 55 originally. He charged me 550.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So they're under this impression that he has it, because I doubt he would have done that to another Chilean, because he probably wouldn't have thought they would have had it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So what goes through your mind when that happens?
Uh, Nothing, just pre-call. I need to take more pre-call. I mean, I kind of expect it sometimes. So now I pay with a credit card everywhere. So if that
Mm.
does happen, I can always reverse it instantly, and
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about my bank account being drained or anything like that.
So that brings me to another question. Again, we were talking about the financial aspects of traveling. So I'm assuming that you have very good communications with your bank and letting them know where you are at all times.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they know. For some reason, whenever I come to Brazil, they seem every time I swipe my card, they notify me that it was just used out of the country. Even when I was here for 3 months straight, back in 2022 and 2023, they even locked my account out on New Year's Day when there was nothing open. There's nothing open, so I didn't even have money to buy food.
Ooh.
So they only did that in Brazil though. Other places they don't do that for some reason.
Okay. So I would ask you to mention the bank if you had a sponsorship deal with them. But since do you have a sponsorship deal with the bank? So if you do, we'll mention them. If not, we'll keep that under wraps.
No.
All right.
I
So
wouldn't tell anybody to bank with them. No.
oh, you would not. Okay. Okay.
No.
Okay. Because I'm thinking, for sure, much like American Express uses expats, or American Express uses people to say, hey, don't leave home without it, right? Uh, there's got to be a brand deal in the offing for some sort of a bank that has international fees that might be zero, or that would basically want to support the lifestyle that you do.
Mhm.
Just an idea, and that's free. You don't have to pay me for that.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. We asked this one out of people.
Let me
Okay.
grab my phone.
All
really
right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right. So, do you mind if I ask some personal questions? And if it
Go
gets
ahead.
too personal, you certainly can decline. So,
That's fine.
all right. So you're looking on your channel again. Your channel has done extremely well, especially if we're talking about the personal relationships that you may encounter while traveling abroad. So, how has traveling changed, or has traveling changed your approach when it comes to relationships and dating? And I know that you mentioned earlier that it's kind of difficult to stick and stay, but that doesn't mean that you play and stray. It doesn't mean any of that. But how has traveling affected your relationships and your approach to dating?
Uh, it's made me realize that my experiences in Rio, Salvador, Nairobi, Dar es Salaam, uh, Cali, Colombia, all, and even Cartagena, Colombia too, are just it's made me realize that there's just certain cultures that women behave certain ways, and everywhere outside the country is not. I think everywhere outside the country is better, but it's not the same experience to expect everywhere else.
Okay. Can you speak to the different behaviors based on the different countries or the different cultures?
So I would say that in places like Buenos Aires, here in Sao Paulo, women are very, very flaky. Versus whenever I was in Salvador and Rio, like I did not get flaked on. Maybe one time out of both cities, I got flaked on.
Okay.
When women don't show up, they don't show up to commitments, or they don't text me back. Like, they're super excited to meet me. Versus here, like, man, they're smiling, but they're not like about to do a backflip like they would in Rio and Salvador. I don't know why they're like that there, but they are.
Okay. Okay. So lack of commitment, or their word is not their bond, huh?
Yes.
Okay. What about in Colombia, or Colombia or South America versus Africa? What would be the differences in terms of how the women behave, and how that getting to know a potential partner, how is that different?
Well, one thing I did notice is very different about them is they don't go to the gym in Africa, like, at all. So when you go to the gym in Africa, there's only men.
Mm.
Now, I would give it to them. I guess they're just born right out of the box ready. I don't know. But in Latin America, one thing that African women didn't really have out of the 7 countries I went to that Latin women do have is the romanticizing. They're very affectionate here in Latin America. The whole kissing is a big thing here. Them, even just them calling you like me amor and all that kind of stuff. They don't really do that in Africa. I mean, they're nice. They're
Yeah.
nice women. But
Yeah.
that's just a difference that they have.
Okay. So let's compare. Let's stay in the same region. Let's compare Brazil and Colombia. Is there a difference, or are there more similarities than differences in the approach?
Between where?
Brazil and Colombia, or Brazil in Bolivia, or Brazil in Peru. Are there differences in even within South American or Latin American countries?
Yeah, I don't think one Latin American country is even 70% like the other one. Like, they're all completely different. So, like, in Brazil, and depending on where you're at in Brazil, they're very friendly, they're very generous they're very what is the word? It's with the E. They're very, I don't know, but they're very excited to see you. Let's say
Okay.
that, right?
Okay.
Versus Bolivia, they're super reserved to the point where they come off uninterested. Versus Argentina, they're it seemed like they were kind of tolerant, but they don't show up for the date. So versus Peru, they were very excited to see you, and they did follow all the way through. So it just depends. And even in Colombia, city by city is different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's very, I don't know, maybe it's a tribal thing that had something to do with the different tribes that were.
Okay. In Africa. Okay. Okay. Yeah. That would make sense. Have you ever had, we're talking about, again, dating and relationships. Have you ever had a situation that you would deem dangerous or semi-dangerous or, I mean, anything? Because we hear all the time, not all the time, but we hear a lot of negative things that happen. Because again, negativity is more popular than the positive things that you might experience. Have you ever had something that could have gone the wrong way very easily?
Yeah. So, for example, whenever I was in Peru, there was a very Incan looking woman that I was with that was in my videos too. And my subscribers wanted to see her cook. So they donated for us to get an Airbnb in Miraflores, Lima. And we got the Airbnb. We were supposed to go grocery shopping. She was going to stay the night. She had to lie to her parents to do it. But the thing is, she wanted to invite her friend, which is a woman. And I was like, it's kind of pushing it. But okay, if I don't feel safe around both of them, I'll just go back to my other Airbnb that I was staying at anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Then hours before, she asked, can another person come over? And I was like, okay, what's their name? I need everybody's ID and their name. And the other person looking at the name, it's a man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could tell by the way how, you know, they end an A or O or something
Yes.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw that and I asked her, she's like, yeah, but it's a friend that I really trust. I'm like, yeah, I don't give a damn if you trust them or not. Like, I just met you a few days ago.
Right.
You know, and I don't know any, I'm not about to be 3-1.
Right.
You know,
Right.
They're so corrupt in these countries. I don't need them paying off the person at the front desk to just turn a blind eye. So
Right. Right.
that kind of stuff. Some dudes end up in bad situations because they turn a blind eye to what that could come out of that situation. But
Mm-hmm.
that could have went bad as well. There's no telling what that could have been.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you believe or think that because your traveling experience that you have a heightened spidey sense?
Yes. I can notice bullshit from a mile away. I've noticed all the behaviors that people have when they have a hidden intent.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Because of your experiences, do you ever think that there could be a diplomatic role in your future from a political perspective?
I think I've thought about that before, but no, I don't. I've thought about that, but I don't think I will follow through on doing it. At least not right now. I don't think so.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. All right. Interesting. Um, eh, One of the things you do that I've noticed, and I'm sure that your viewers have noticed, is that whatever country you go to, you look for a gym. Is there a particular membership that you have, or a particular country, uh, no, I shouldn't say country. Is there a particular membership or business membership that you can go to globally, or is this something it's a case by case basis, or catch as catch can?
Like, is there a gym membership that's all around the world?
Yeah.
No, but the closest I've got, I think the only gym that I've seen that's like continent wide is SmartFit and
Smart
Body
fit.
Tech. Yeah, there's a Body Tech in Colombia. There's several in Brazil. They're in I believe they're in Argentina too. It's not even as big as SmartFit, but SmartFit is everywhere.
Okay. Did you find that in African continent too?
No chain gyms there. No,
No. Okay.
because
What would the gym? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
they don't use it. If you go to a gym in Africa, I can guarantee you 90% of the time it'll be 4 other people in there.
So what are the gyms like in different parts of the world? Because again, when you I would believe that, or I would think that each country has its own style as it even relates to restaurants and gyms, right?
Mhm.
So what would a gym be like in the places that you visit in Africa versus the gyms that you go to in Brazil?
Uh, Honestly, I think the gyms are probably the same worldwide.
Okay.
There's gyms with no air conditioning that are very uncomfortable to work out in, and you get shocked the entire time you're in there. I've seen that in Tanzania. I've seen that in Asia. I've seen in even Vietnam and Thailand. I've seen that. I've seen that in Argentina. And the nicest gym I've ever been to in the world was in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't, because I just went to the Body Tech here. The nicest one I've seen in the world was here in Sao Paulo. It was a Body Tech,
Okay.
but they have similar Body Techs in other gyms in every country. So I think the gyms are pretty much the same. It just depends on how much you're willing to spend.
From a relationship perspective, which gyms that you've attended in which countries are the people more receptive to you coming up and talking to them and meeting them, whether male or female?
Yeah. Like in the States, it's it's just a no-go over there. But in other countries, I haven't had any issues really at all approaching women at the gym. Even if they're not interested, they'll reject you, but they're not going to clown you about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as a YouTuber, do you have to ask permission to be able to film in these places, or what's your process, or can you disclose your process, I should say? Because it might be, like the McDonald's secret sauce to the Big Mac. You might not want to answer that.
So I've become a master at not asking for permission. There's a certain way you go about doing it, and I call it a lack of preparation. So you interview somebody without telling them you're about to interview them.
Okay.
A lot of my viral clips, like when I was in Chile and there was a girl I walked up on and I asked her where was Central Market at, but I'm walking up to her like this. So she already knows I'm recording, and I just ask her a question. And in my mind, if she doesn't want to be on camera, she'll just walk away, because that's usually what they'll do.
Right.
But what never works, or I could say works 10% of the time, is, hey, I'm from the United States. I got a YouTube channel.
So why'd you have to elevate your voice? Why can't you just use more bass when you say that, man?
Yeah, because that's what people do. They're like, I got a YouTube channel, and I just want to ask you a couple questions. It's only going to take like 60 seconds about being in Lima. Can I interview you? Almost 100% of the time they say no. Right. But if I walk up and I say, do you like living in Peru? Yes. Okay, walk to the next person.
Okay.
It works every time.
What equipment do you use?
I'm using my camera right now, which is a DJI Pocket 3. And it's a camera that's literally like the size of this phone.
Okay.
So you can literally fit in your pocket like a phone, and it shoots in 4K. As you can see, I can do webcam videos with it.
Yeah.
It has a gimbal on it, so you can run it and it won't look like you're running.
Okay.
And it's a gimbal that you don't have to set. It's just automatically set as soon as you turn it on.
All right. Do you have an affiliate program with them, like through Amazon or something? So you're going to put that in the description?
Yes, I do. I do have an affiliate link right here.
Okay. And we're trying, even though, again, as you said at the beginning, that you're being interviewed, we do want to make sure that you're able to monetize all of your information. And folks, if you, for those of you who are watching, and I know that you, Austin, you may be getting some newer viewers, I would highly suggest that if you're new to Austin Holloman's platform, like, subscribe, and follow, and you'll get some very, very interesting content and content news and views that you could use to elevate your life and to become happier. And then also, I would like to add, if I may, Austin, a shameless plug of my own, that folks, you can follow me, Todd Allen, at Infinite Growth TV, all one word, Infinite Growth TV, where we talk about the social determinants of wealth, of income, education, health, travel, and lifestyle, and all of those things which can help you to elevate your life, to live longer, and to be happy. So I would highly suggest that you like and subscribe both Austin Holloman's channel and then also my channel at Infinite Growth TV. Thank you, Austin, for allowing me to do that shameless plug. Appreciate it.
Let me shout out this Cash App as well. We got $10 from Alt T. It says, for 60-year-old fan here enjoying the live on life after traveling. Thank you for the Cash App. And then we got another super chat from Goku. Says he sent $5 for brother. This lady just gave choosing signals at my hotel, and I didn't even catch it until she walked past when I got on the elevator. Yes, that's why my head is always on a swivel. I don't miss anything. Trust me.
Yeah, you got to work on your Spider-Man senses, folks.
Yeah,
you gotta feel the room.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's continue with some of the questions. Again, we're talking a little bit more of the personal side, and then we'll go into some of the expectations and advice that you can probably help people with. We talked about where you are at this particular point in your life, where it's very difficult and very challenging to have. I would say, I don't know how I would actually put it. I don't want to say deep and profound relationships with people, because you're able to do that. You're able to maintain some contact. But at your age now, and I know you just had a birthday recently, and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy belated birthday, I should say. At the age you are now, chronologically, how do you feel mentally?
How do I feel mentally? Specify a little more on that.
Okay. In the US, a 25-year-old is typically 10 years behind in the maturity aspect when it comes to significant others' relationships.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The experiences that you've had far outweigh 90%, let's just say, of experiences that that women in the US may have had.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not your typical 25-year-old based upon that standard. So how do you feel mentally, or how do you think you are mentally in terms of age, from your actual biology to how you think and you feel in terms of biology, how old you are?
I for sure would say I'm at least 30 in the United States. But based off the circle of friends I have, they're usually over 35. Like in my personal WhatsApp group, I'm the youngest person, and everybody else is at least 35.
Okay. And so with that in mind, in terms of the business aspect of what you do, and in terms of how you counsel and who you counsel, what would you say is the age group that can most identify with your lifestyle and with what you're doing from a professional perspective?
I would say about the same people around 35 and up.
Okay.
Because most people my age just graduated college last year and still paying off debt.
Facts.
Still paying off debt.
Yeah, facts. So again, given that, how would you go about finding someone that you want to spend a great deal of time with? And the reason why I preface the question this way is because, again, we know that in the United States, most of 50% or 60% of marriages end in divorce, with 60 to 70% of those divorces that are actually instituted or begun by women. Given what you know from your travels and what you've seen, how would you go about deciding if and when you want to settle down?
I think I won't be ready until I'm about 30. I mean, the more and more I travel, the more and more I'm getting tired of having to constantly put energy into finding somebody else so I can get Patreon videos to talk about what's going on. I'm kind of getting tired of doing that. It's fine for right now, and I'm going to keep doing it because I'm still traveling. But once I decide somewhere that I actually want to stay at, that's when I'll be looking. Like if I knew I was here in Sao Paulo for another 11 months, I would probably be more open to getting a girlfriend than right now. I'm just not going to do it because I'm going to be gone in 3 weeks.
Okay. So who are your mentors? Who are people that you, when you have an issue or there's something going on in your mind, that you say, hey, you know what? I'm a phone call away. This is a brother or a sister that I can call, and I know that they'll help me get my head right.
People in my personal WhatsApp group, and somebody like Andre from Love Crossing Borders.
Yeah.
People like
Shout
that.
out to Andre.
Yeah.
So typically those individuals are
35 and up.
35 and up, and have a semblance of the same lifestyle that you have.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's important. Okay, because even a coach needs a coach, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever met Ace Live? Have you ever talked to him?
No, I've been trying to interview him, but I haven't been able to get his contact info yet.
Yeah, yeah. And I also want to give a shout out to Kings and Dreams, right? Kings and Dreams is a good contact to have as
Yeah,
well.
he's in my WhatsApp group too.
Okay, excellent. Um, so we know that you have to be in a place that, close to a year in order for you to have a committed relationship. You said that you would probably want to settle down in the next 5 years or so, right? When you're 30. Is there a particular country or part of the world that stands out to you in terms of this is where you'd like your possible mate to come from? I mean, because
Ooh.
you've been to 21 countries. It's almost like Baskin Robbins, 51 flavors, right? So you gotta you gotta pick and choose, which flavor appeals to you most at this particular point in time.
I've said this a while back, even when I was at like 8 countries. For that topic in particular, I made a mistake by traveling to too many places. Because now it's like, okay, I don't think I know what I want now. Because I've seen so much. It's like I'm gonna have to have to stay in I'm gonna have to age a little more or something else before I figure it out. But I still think, just off the top of the head, I'd probably say Brazil still.
Okay. Well, instead of saying what flavor you would choose, do you have a top places that you would not? I mean, which countries would you absolutely eliminate?
I would say I wouldn't say any, but if I did, they would be Asian countries because I'm just not attracted like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. When, a little bit of my story when, I was 0 for 2 in the US of a particular culture. And so I had decided after the second one, I was like, Latin America, here I come. And in particular, Colombia. Right. And so, I was kind of hell bent on one particular place, primarily because of the culture and the experience that I had when I was younger. I had uh, a soccer teammate that was from Colombia, and I thought that his sister was probably the most gorgeous thing I'd ever seen, and so that's what did it for me.
Mm.
Um, but I've had friends from all over the world as well. But I would agree with you that you kind of have to have experiences abroad in order to kind of figure out what you don't want,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's unfortunate that some people love Asians, the Asian culture and the Asian women, while others, they prefer a different type. But I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, one of the things that's most appealing would be how a particular culture um, how a particular culture responds to masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
Because we both know that there are some cultures that when there's masculine energy in the room, all of a sudden they call it toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Is there any particular country that you found that responds better to masculine energy than others?
African countries. African countries respond the best.
Okay.
In Brazil, they do as well, but you still have a movement where I think in 5 or 10 years, it's not going to be that much different from the States if they don't do anything about it. So uh,
Yeah.
maybe longer than that, maybe long, but it's America 2.0 for sure. Like
Yeah.
it's coming. It's coming.
Do you see that the U.S. culture is kind of seeping into a lot of these other countries that you visited?
If you asked me that before, I would say yes. But now that I've been to those places and then I went back to the States and then I came back out again, I don't think as much. Maybe small little things, but when you with the whole like the toxic masculinity, like I don't think I've heard that anywhere but the United States. I don't or calling men males. you know how they try to say, "Oh, my father was just a male." Like I
Mhm.
haven't heard anybody say something like that in these other countries. Like either he was a man or he was a woman. The only two things they say.
Right, right. Interesting how that works, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, so Austin, let's say that you have someone who's been watching your show, your content, and actually, I have a friend that watches you in the Virgin Islands, and I also have a friend that watches you in the U.S. And the one that lives in the Virgin Island travels a lot. He comes back and forth to Colombia, so I know that you have an influence with him as well. But if someone wants to get started and they're considering a similar lifestyle, what advice would you give them if they want to get started?
If they want to get started, they need to cut all ties with the United States,
Oof.
physically, which
Okay.
means like no car, which I still have a car, but I'll be done this year, so I'll be done with that. And then after that, the only thing I have with the United States is filing taxes. But no car, no house. I mean, unless that stuff is generating you money.
Mm.
But then you still have another tax issue to worry about with that. You know, there's always going to be that issue until you get rid of that stuff. Um, if you want to live exactly the way I am, you have to learn to detach from people easily, which you'll learn it along the way anyway.
Hmm.
Um, you need to have the proper cards. Like I would recommend credit cards, cards that work in most countries. You know, I don't think what is it, American Express? I don't think American Express is accepted everywhere. You know, around the world. So something like
Yeah,
that.
it depends. 'Cause I know that here in South America, Rappi accepts it, but like to your point, it's because the interest rates are so high. Not everybody does accept it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I would also say don't ever sign a lease unless if it's something like 3 months. Like when I sign a lease somewhere, it's no longer than 3 months.
Okay.
Because if I sign a year lease and then I'm a nomad, so in 3 months I might be like, okay, yeah, it's time to leave here, but I'm
Right.
still obligated to pay another 9 months.
So let's talk about that really quickly, how that works, because there are a lot of countries that if you don't derive your income from that home country, it's challenging to either open up a bank account or to even sign a lease. How do you
Mhm.
get by that?
I will tell you this: most countries you won't have a problem signing a lease. Like I got my first apartment in Brazil and Salvador, and one of the nicest parts of Salvador. Usually, you know, they would check credit or they would do a lot of paperwork for a regular Brazilian, but they were like, okay, well, it's this much. Show me your passport, just pay. Because we do have that stigma. Oh, he's American. Like his money is 5 times there. He's going to be able to pay this with no problem. That's not always true, but they have that understanding about us.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. But is there, excuse me, do you find it easy to find apartments that you can just do 3 month lease, or is there a special process that you go through?
Usually, I'll ask my Airbnb host because usually they own more than one property or they will lease the apartment to you directly outside of Airbnb.
Okay.
That works best. Or you could find a realtor. Like it's easy to find realtors in Nairobi and in Dar es Salaam. But
Hmm.
when I was in Bucharest, Romania, I wanted to stay there for 2 months. But that wasn't the realtors don't even respond on the website or anywhere. Like they said that's a process doing it there. So it depends on where you at.
Okay. Okay. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Okay. Um, how can travelers set realistic expectations before embarking on international adventures? I mean, how would they go about doing that in your view?
Realistic expectations like what?
Well, sometimes that people see your channel, they will see Ace Live. They might see Andres that love crossing borders, and they would think, "Wow, that's a glamorous lifestyle. All I got to do is get my passport, pack my bag, and then just get on a plane."
Mhm. Yeah, that's very unrealistic. Yeah, that's it. 'Cause if you go somewhere like Brazil and you only know English, it's not going to be that easy of a time being here. Like you will, it's coming to Brazil with only English is like a Brazilian coming to America only knowing Portuguese. Like
Mm,
most people aren't. I don't know anybody in the States that's not Brazilian that knows Portuguese. So if you come to Brazil, you will find people, but you won't be able to understand the Uber driver. You most likely won't be able to understand the person that's giving you your food.
Yeah.
You won't know how to order your food. You won't know how to talk to women. You won't even know what they're talking about in the altercation. You need to learn the language if they don't speak English wherever you're going.
What's your favorite Portuguese word?
Saudade.
What does that mean?
I miss you.
Okay, I like gustoso, but I think it means delicious.
Yeah. That
was the only word it's a long story behind that word, but that's my favorite Portuguese word. Okay. What are some common misconceptions about long-term travel that you'd like to address?
Some common misconceptions. Aren't you homesick? Absolutely not. That's for me.
Yeah.
I'm not homesick at all because I don't know, man. You can't really be too homesick when your life is better in the second place.
Well, say that, man. That's a bar.
Yeah. Are you homesick? Absolutely not. It's like whenever you go, it's like leaving a toxic relationship, going to the best relationship. It's like, do you miss your ex? Like, I don't think so. I don't know. Why would I?
Right. Any thoughts of denouncing U.S. citizenship?
When I get rich. Right now, it makes no sense. Right now, there will be no. I can't right now because I don't have a second citizenship. But that would, in my opinion, that only makes sense if you are being bombarded with taxes. But other than that, man, a U.S. passport can get you out of trouble in a lot of situations. Just saying that you're American has actually, I think it saved my life the first time I went to Rio with the military police here. And when they found out we were Americans, they said, oh, yeah, y'all can just go. But they just had a gun in my face.
Can you share that story?
Yeah, I was going from Rio to Barra da Tijuca, which is a suburb of Rio in the west. And there's military police checkpoints throughout Rio. And they're stopping cars, I guess, that they find suspicious. I don't know what was suspicious about us. We were well dressed and we're not even from there. And it's not like black people are unusual in Brazil, so we didn't stand out either. But they stopped us and they pulled us over and slammed their gun on the window, which is an assault rifle. It's not a pistol, it's an assault rifle. And it has a laser on it too. And they put the laser in my eye too. And they snatched us out of the car, brought us behind the car. He had the gun so close to my nose, I could smell the gunpowder. That's how close he had. And he was screaming, and I switched to English, got me out of the situation.
So when you speak Portuguese, do they certainly recognize that your accent is not native? Has that been helpful or has that hindered you?
It depends on how many drinks I've had. When I have had 2 drinks, they think I'm from here. If I spoke it now, they would say I sound like a gringo.
Well, it depends on what kind of gringo, though, right? A black gringo or a white gringo?
Yeah.
There's a difference. Yeah. I you know what? I would say the same thing because my Russian is very good, very fluent when I've had too much to drink.
Yeah. It's a relaxation thing, I think. It's the anxiety goes away.
Right. How do you stay safe and healthy while traveling extensively? Because you could be gone. 3 weeks can go by in a blink. A month, when people start to see you, they'll start to recognize you if you're in one place too long, right? And you become kind of because you never know who's watching you, but just know that when you're traveling, that people are watching you. So how do you stay safe and healthy when you're traveling extensively?
I stay healthy, and if you guys want to know how I stay healthy and safe and what my diet is, go to theaustinholloman.com and download the Digital Nomads Fitness ebook. It's only $3, and I'll tell you everything I do and how I've become to look even better since I left the United States. But I do that by going to the gym no matter what, like that. And that, I think that's a personal thing because I was really, really skinny growing up. And eventually I was like, yeah, I don't want to be skinny anymore. And I haven't been skinny since. Like I used to be almost, well, I wouldn't say frail, but I was just skinny. I didn't like it. So I am 100% loyal to the gym on that. I do things that keep my metabolism high, like for example, taking pre-workout keeps your metabolism high because it's all the caffeine and stuff in there. And so I can eat bullshit if I want to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
3 times a week, and I won't notice a difference.
Okay.
But that's because I'm always in the gym. I'm always well hydrated, so
Yeah.
I'm always healthy. Like, and drink water. Some people don't even drink water. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But drink water will solve a lot of issues. Like if you have a hard time coming up with thoughts, it's probably dehydration.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if you're dehydrated, your brain doesn't work as good.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
What about healthcare?
I have Aetna, but it really only works in Europe and the United States and Canada, from what I've seen. So I basically have it for no reason.
And want to point out that they're not a sponsor of Austin Holloman. So, but that is a prerequisite at times when you're traveling, is it not?
Yes. I think it's you. What do you mean by prerequisite?
Well, in order to enter, for example, in order for me to get my visa to come to Colombia to stay for any length of time, one of the things I had to do was I have to have healthcare, right? And so whether I have healthcare with the college or my wife and I buy private healthcare, that's one of the prerequisites because and this is something that a lot of people around the world, or a lot of people in the United States don't know. The healthcare systems around the world, in many cases, are better than the healthcare system in the U.S. Have you found that to be true?
Yes, and they're free. They're free, and it's not a scam, right? Like I used to get sinus infections quite often, and it's kind of coming back now that I'm in Sao Paulo because there's more pollution here, I guess, or something is different about the area here because I'm kind of having the same problem I did in the States. But if I need antibiotics, I just go to the pharmacy and say, hey, I need amoxicillin. I have green mucus, and they just give it to me.
Right.
In the United States, I got to go to the doctor, pay $100 to see the doctor for him to tell me something I already know.
Yeah.
Then go buy the medicine.
Right. Yeah. What about doctor? Do doctors make home calls where you're at?
I'm not sure. I haven't actually had to go to a doctor for something serious besides sinus infections.
Okay. So relatively healthy. Has your health changed since you've been traveling as opposed to when you were in the States?
A lot less sodium, and a lot of my body was a big bag of water, I think, when I left here, when I left the United States. Now I have abs again, and I'm a lot more lean, and my face is a lot slimmer. And I think it was the food in the States. There was a lot of sodium in that food over there. So after 6 months, I changed.
Yeah, I would agree. So what was your weight before you traveled, and what is a weight that you're able to maintain and sustain now?
195 was my weight when I left, and now I'm about 175.
And how tall are you?
5'11".
Okay. So needless to say, relative to your physique, relative to the men in the countries that you travel to, how would you compare your physique to the indigenous men in the countries that you visit?
In Brazil, if you think being fit is going to make you set apart from the rest of the men, it's completely wrong. Because they're very fit here. A lot of them look like me. A lot of them are really big. You know, a lot of them look like they got a microwave on their chest everywhere they go. You know, they're very in shape down here. Pretty much throughout all of Latin America I've been to, except for like Colombia and Peru and Bolivia. It doesn't seem like they take fitness. The men don't take fitness as serious there. That's the other places I've been.
What about in Asia?
They're all very slim. They look like how I did when I was in high school. It's very rare that you see a buff Asian. Very rare.
You're being very polite when you said that they look like you did when you were in high school.
Yeah, they're all very slim. Small portions of food.
Right. My wife says that she compares what I look like to a lot of the men that are here in this part of the world. she says that the men here have Bugs Bunny bodies as opposed to,
Yes. Yeah.
anything else. Okay. So just a few more questions here, and I appreciate you allowing me to ask questions on your show. What takeaways do you hope that your audience gains from your travel experiences and from the conversation that we have today?
Realize that everywhere is not the same, and my experiences that I talk about is not going to be your experience most likely to the T. It may be very similar. Like, for example, what I would say about Rio, most people that go to Rio say the same things that I do. Most people, but that may not be your experience. Like, I know, for example, somebody went to Salvador Bahia and he had the complete opposite experience that I had. I don't know why, but that's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Learn the budget, because, for example, I'm not in Sao Paulo, but I noticed that I would drink a lot more when I left the States than I was when I was in the States. That could be because I was a barber and I couldn't be hungover all the time because I would lose my clients.
Mm-hmm.
But the lifestyle I live was a lot more when I want it, type of lifestyle, when I want to work. But having excess income, because everything is divided by 5 now, can actually make you go broke faster because you're a lot less cautious. You're like, oh, it's just $3 here. It's just $4 there. Oh, it's $3. Oh, I can take all y'all. That's $5 a person. 50. Before you know, you spent $150 for the day in a place where the average salary is $400 a month.
Yeah. So you're a lot happier now. You're more content. You seem to be a lot more focused. One thing that I have noticed is that you have improved on your craft. And what I mean by your craft is, you are a bona fide YouTuber, right? And so how many hours a day would you then say, or how many hours a week then would you say that you work on your craft with YouTube?
It's here in Sao Paulo. Actually, Sao Paulo, Paraguay, Bolivia, Peru. Actually, it seems like it's all day now, especially now that I walk around and do the IRL streams where I show you what I'm doing exactly at that moment. A lot of times those are 12 hours long. At one point on average, they'd be at least 8 hours. So I think I do more, but that's not really a craft. It's just me walking around with the camera.
Okay.
But if you're talking about coming up with questions for these interviews, thumbnails, vlogs, that's still more than 50% of my day. I would say.
Okay. So what do you do as a pastime? What do you do that helps you relax?
Meeting with friends, socializing. I have to get out at least every week. That doesn't mean I have to get drunk, but that means I have to have interactions with people, because sitting in front of this computer, yes, we're talking online, but it's not the same as in person.
Right.
So actually meeting people and, just kicking it for a while, that keeps me sane the most.
Are you involved in sports or athletics, or other than going to the gym? Are you involved in sports?
No, I hate sports.
Really?
Yeah, I hate sports.
That's kind of interesting that you hate sports, but you love working out, or you just work out just to maintain a certain image.
It's just I can't even focus. Like when I tried football when I was a kid, basketball, tennis, soccer, baseball. I sucked at all of them because it just wasn't interesting to me. Okay. Anonymous said IRLs is a craft. Entertaining people for long periods of time is a craft or skill. I actually, when you look at it like that, I would agree, because I do sit there and talk that entire 12 hours.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you're it's not like this format where someone is asking you questions. If you were just having a conversation with yourself, but you're filming it, that takes a different level of skill and mindset too, right? It's like, okay, and if somebody's walking by you and they see that, they're like, why is this man talking to himself?
Yeah. I guess that is a craft, being able to entertain people for that long. Yeah.
Absolutely. So again, if we're talking about someone that is getting started, what equipment would you suggest that if they're getting started, that they want to start a channel on YouTube, how would you advise the free portion, not the consultation part that they would buy, but the free portion that you could give them on how they could get started. And then I would also say, be sure, folks, that you reach out to Austin so that you can get a consultation with him.
I would say get this camera that I have. You need a camera and a tripod and a microphone, like one I have on my chest right here, not the podcast microphone like that Todd's using. Because if you're traveling the way how I am, you're not gonna be using that as much.
Right.
I would now because I do these every day, but this will be more beneficial if you're walking around vlogging because it's portable.
Mm-hmm.
So the microphone like this or a lavalier mic and a camera that I recommend, the DJI Pocket 3, and a tripod, a good tripod, not a $20 tripod that'll fall over. The tripod I have, I spent $150 on it. It gets like 7 feet, and it seems like it's made out of steel, so it'll be here for a while with me. I'd have to do a lot to break this thing.
Right.
So a tripod, camera, the microphone, and a MacBook.
Okay.
With an i2 processor.
Okay. Do you have an external hard drive at all as well?
Yes, I do back up my videos on the external hard drive, and I put them in a cloud.
Okay. And so that equipment is not light. How do you get the best deals on your travel? And do you recommend any particular airline?
I can tell you what to not use, which is Frontier or Spirit when you leave the United States. But honestly, I think you should buy the most expensive ticket that you see. Not like buying first class, but just because Latin America is cheaper than gold in Brazil, or GOL, I guess you would call it. Mm-hmm. The GOL flight is better because they're not going to short you on the weight of your check bag. Because those cheap tickets are like, oh, yeah, you can fly here. But then you get to the airport and you realize, oh, I can't bring a check bag. A carry-on bag is $60. So when they hit you for everything else, you bought the expensive ticket anyway. And then the airline is not as nice and the seats are not as good and they don't serve you anything on the plane without charging you for it. Mm-hmm. So the experience is different. So I would say just go with the more expensive airline. If you're in the United States, go with American and Delta and, airlines like that rather than Frontier and Spirit. Mm-hmm. Latin America, what is that? It's like something with a J or something that they got over here. Don't use those. Those are terrible. But like Argentina Airlines, Argentina is what they call it. Mm-hmm. Don't use Copa Airways. I hate them too. Copa Airways is ghetto and they don't give you your money back. Like when I tried to go to Nicaragua, I was going to fly through Copa Airways, so I had to stop there. I couldn't get into Nicaragua not because of the airways or because of me. It was something with Nicaragua at the embassy with me. Mm-hmm. I told them that they wouldn't refund me. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm going to Peru. Can you just give me a flight to Peru? In order for me to change that flight that I already spent $600 on, I had to pay basically another $500 to switch that flight. So I basically might as well buy a whole new ticket.
Wow.
And the flight wasn't even $500. The new flight was only $300.
Okay. Do you check in to the embassy when you travel? Do you let the embassy know that you're there, or how does that work for you?
I was recommended that, but I've never done that. And I probably wouldn't do that now that I'm a YouTuber. If I came up missing, I think it would be enough of an uproar where the embassy would find out anyway.
We would hope, right?
Yeah, they will find out anyway at this point.
Right. Because the State Department says that, and then the State Department sometimes has these travel warnings and things like that. Do you ever go to the State Department website to look at any of those things before you go, or you just head out?
No, and this is not exact, but I don't do my research before I go places. I don't literally mean that.
Right.
So what I'm saying is I don't do research on that website, because if you go to that website and look at Kenya and look at Tanzania, they'll talk about the recent terrorist attacks they had, and they word it in such a way where you're thinking like, oh shit, like I'm gonna come up missing if I go over here.
Right.
But you don't see any of that when you get there. If you look
Right.
up Brazil or Colombia, you know,
Yeah.
you'll think like, oh, it's gonna be the end. I'm gonna die over there.
Right.
You know, so I don't even check. YouTube is more realistic
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
they're on the website just saying like, oh, like you're gonna be just a risk of a terrorist attack. Or I can watch what Austin just posted when he was walking around the street yesterday.
Facts.
Which one is more realistic?
Yes, for sure. Well, listen, Austin, man, it was a pleasure. I know we were 1 hour and 40 minutes into this interview. Again, I want to thank you for your transparency, for your honesty. And it was a genuine pleasure, man, to have an opportunity to talk with you and to ask you some of these questions. And I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And thank you for your interview skills as well. It was great.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Folks, again, follow Austin Holloman on his website, on his YouTube channel. And also, if you have an opportunity to do so, schedule an appointment with him and get a consultation. Buy his book, buy any of the products that he recommends. If you want to be a YouTuber, you know, he has experience in doing this. I mean, he's been doing this for a while, right? And he's grown from, as I said, the time I was following him, from about 40,000 followers to over 100,000 subscribers now. Thank you, Austin. And I know what I will continue to follow you, and you've been an inspiration, and I know you'll continue to be an inspiration for a young man like myself. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
You as well. All right. All right, you guys, give me 1 second. Let me take a bathroom break. Yeah, I did hear him say young men like yourself. I did hear that. So about the interview yesterday. Frequent flyer, that's funny. She enjoyed that interview. Like she said, she was nervous at first, but she got more comfortable. She said she was just nervous because English is not her first language, and she didn't want to look dumb speaking English. But I told her English is pretty good. Because after I turned it off, she only spoke Portuguese to me because that's what she's on. So I'll make a deal with you guys. This phone ran out of data, but if I can buy the data through text right now or through the internet or something, I will. I will. We could do we could go somewhere and do an IRL, but if not, I can't because my other phone does not. Something's the internet is just it's not good enough for a live stream. Yeah, she was cool though. Let's see, because I don't think I could buy internet on here. No, I can't unless we could go somewhere else. She was perky 28. Yeah, unless if we could go somewhere else where there's Wi-Fi I could connect to and I could do an IRL there. But if I go somewhere, I'm about to drink. Would you consider your haircut a high top fade? No, this is a drop fade. I just bring it higher in the front because I don't like that little curve. That stuff throws off how I'm not as handsome with that curve. Thank you, Shango. Yes, journalism. Yes, thank you. What should we interview her about tomorrow? But I have a not tomorrow, next time. I have some more women. I'm running an ad in Brazil to find people to interview. I got a Brazilian guy, but he doesn't. I just found out he doesn't speak English. Please drink. I live vicariously through you. We got to find somewhere to go though. A live hangout stream. Oh, y'all are talking about her and I go somewhere and we hang out? Or we hang out here? I think what you're talking about is like what my mom and I did where we hung out right here and just drank. Yeah, I still got an old video of me on YouTube. Yeah, I'll do that with her. But most of these people that are like responding to my thing on YouTube are like trans or something like that. They're not nobody I put on camera. This is one. Okay, she's cute. Yes, I well if you sweat in the shower, if you washed your face before that, I would just rinse it off and then put moisturizer on top. I don't like to wash my face 3 times a day. If you wash it too much, it'll get oily. And that's a whole nother problem. A cute tour guide can make some help. Yeah, I got some. I mean, I could find somebody to be a tour guide with. Let me see, because some people are texting me right now. I'm running an ad on Instagram. So it's a bunch of chicks that's hitting me up. Like 5 or 6 daily. No, Shango, they don't need to fuck with me. Yeah, we can go hang out. I'll ask her when she's free to hang out for like 5 hours. She's shy though. She's not gonna talk a lot. They said Monica burning off was really strange. Typical modern woman move. Yeah, it was very strange. Did all that stuff and then couldn't get. I couldn't. Yeah, that was very odd. But I mean, I'm not surprised by nothing no more. Wajfaction. You missed it. We just ended the interview like 5 minutes ago. Uh, what do y'all think about this chick? And I'm gonna ask her if she wants to be in a vlog. Oh, let me cover it before y'all go back. No reservations gets women for his show the same way. He runs an ad or he uses Tinder or something and he finds the chick. I mean, there's all. Let me see if that pub across the street is open. There's always that pub across the street I can go to. I could. Looks like they may be open. Yeah, no, the black Brazilians. Yeah, they're not. I met a chick at the gym today. And she had like an afro, and she was probably my skin complexion. She looked really good, and I went over there to talk to her. She was cool, was moderately cool. Said she was from another city. And then I told her because she's leaving in a few days, like by Saturday, and of course I on the spot I was like, yeah, well we should meet again before you leave town. And she was like, yeah, I leave Saturday. So when I text her that, she's like, yeah, sure, we can meet. And I was like, okay, so what you doing later today? No response. I'm sick of this shit. I'm getting sick of that shit, man. They do that a lot around here. Like the whole it's kind of like what I was dealing. No, maybe what I was dealing with in Dallas 3 years ago, where I would find a chick that seems interested, moderate to high interest, and then they disappear like a magic trick. They do that. They're doing that here in Sao Paulo too, and it's getting annoying as hell. I mean, it's not too annoying because I've been getting enough. I mean, I've pretty much been getting the past 3 or 4 days. I've been getting action in 3 or 4 days in a row, but it's still just like, damn, the amount of energy I'm having to put in. I'm not dry at all here, but damn. Tim Howard says, well, go to the next. You know what? I would have never thought of that. I probably never did that. Would have never thought of that. Without you, I would have never thought about that. Thank you very much for telling me that. Yeah, they are they're doing that a lot here. Just showing interest and disappearing. And so what it puts you in a mind state is, I mean, it puts you in a mindset of you gotta constantly find new chicks. Or you gotta get like the whole build a roster, build a roster somewhere. Yeah, you're gonna have to be here for some months. I can see for that to happen. Or maybe not. Maybe not. But you're gonna have to meet probably 100 chicks before you get a solid. Well, not 100. Yes, because I've met about I've approached probably 50, maybe 40 women since I've been here. And I've been using the dating apps. That shit in Sao Paulo, that shit seems useless. I mean, it's not useless because I've met a chick off of the dating app, but it's like shit. You gonna have to put a lot of work in dating over here. Like it's not like the States though. It's not like just I'm about to go crazy amount of work. It's just compared to what I'm used to, it's a lot more work. But I ain't tripping because I could just sit here on this live stream and talk to y'all. It's my job. So I can just work and come up with these ebooks and stuff like that. But I've heard Manaus is better. And I've heard of Manaus, Manaus that they're not going to be playing pretty much at all, from what I heard over there. It's going to be similar to what people say about Manaus is similar to what people say about Salvador. So it'll be different in about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So I could go somewhere right now. It's just annoying, man, because I don't have a. Let me see if this restaurant across the street is open. Because they don't look like they're open. Like they look like they could maybe be open. And all these good answers to these questions I have will go right out of the window because I'm about to drink. They're open and they close at 1 a.m. Only problem with that is I can't go there. I mean, it was some chicks in there last time I was there. Chick that had the boyfriend. I was lit too because I told her, she was like, I got a boyfriend. I was like, yeah, that's not really that important to me. But I'm not gonna be able to walk because the minute I walk outside the restaurant, I disconnect from the Wi-Fi. People be saying, it looks like it's a slideshow, and that I can't really film like that. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys want me to go to the pub or whatever this is across the street. I think it's a pub. And they have air conditioning, so it's not gonna be cold. One thing I don't like about Sao Paulo is a lot of these, and this is I've only pretty much noticed this with Sao Paulo. Maybe it's other places too. No, it's just Sao Paulo. Think is like this. All the restaurants are outdoors. Like they're not necessarily outdoors, but there's no way that they can trap heat inside. So like whatever temperature it is outside, it's the same temperature inside the restaurant. And that's like Wesley said, that's the best. That's the best when it's warm outside. But when it's cold, like I want to go to the restaurant to get a break. But in Sao Paulo, you're not gonna get a break going to the restaurant. So you're gonna have to if you were wearing a trench coat outside, you're gonna have to keep it on. Yeah. Donate. We'll leave the Airbnb. We'll go to the place across the street. Put a 2 in the chat if I should drink when I get there. I should drink. I should drink. I should drink. Should I? Because I'm pretty clear minded right now. Because I mean, tomorrow's Friday, but once I start drinking, that clear minded shit's gonna go out the window. But it would be nice to have a caipirinha right now. It would be nice. When was the last time I ate a steak? It was a while. Where was I at before this? I didn't eat steak and sweat out there. Say, I don't think I've ate a steak since I was in Paraguay. So it's been 2 or 3 weeks. Nah, I didn't cuss you out on live, man. I didn't do it. Yeah, put a 2 if you think I should drink when I go over there. Got 1, 2. If we get 10 twos, I'll drink whenever I get over there. I did hear them announce was small. He said that the women are ran through. I think if you know me by now, I don't give a fuck. I'm a tourist. I'm not gonna marry him. Honestly, if the women see me, they think I'm ran through. Technically, I done been all around this world and I have not been celibate. So many different nationalities of women have been with Austin Holloman. Nationalities of places I haven't even been to. So the whole they're ran through, that's not a okay. Not a problem with me. I'm a tourist, you know? But we will take the microphone over there because the microphone will keep the sound perfect. Yeah, no, I know women. Yeah, women don't look at it like that. The women usually don't care if a man has been fooling around with a bunch of women already. Oh, a chick ate her boogers on Floyd's Live in Manaus. Took me up with that steak and fries. Yeah. Let me see if they have a steak over there because I'll probably order that when I get over there. People really aren't too interested in Sao Paulo. She ain't got to be honest on camera. My subscribers just want to see what the women look like over there. They ain't worried about how honest I mean, they are worried about that, but I don't give a damn. If that was the case, I wouldn't have went to Nairobi. Because when I went to Nairobi, shit, don't get a girlfriend in Nairobi. But I loved it. I don't give a damn about him being honest. You must be new to the channel, man. Let me see what they got on this menu to eat. Yeah, I'm ready to see Istanbul, see how obvious the chicks make it. B-Dub told me we wasn't going to be dating no chicks over there like that, but they don't even have food on the menu. But I know they have food there because I ordered food there last time. Yeah, he must be new if he think also there's a ring women that do the pay or claim grape scam. I mean, they say that about everywhere I've been to, man. They say that about Nairobi. Shit never happened to me. I mean, that's pretty. I mean, you're not gonna really get away from that. They got women doing that in the United States. The thing is, you ain't got to pay them. It's pretty much They just gonna say you did something and your ass about to go to jail. They have they have real food. They have Angus steak for with grilled butter, salt, flour, roasted onions, hand cut fries, serves up to two people for 175, which is like $37. Like that's for two people. Or you can get an Angus steak for one person, which is about $18. Don't you guys love traveling? Don't you guys love traveling? You can go eat 250 gram, which I don't know if that's a lot or not, but a 250 gram Angus steak with salt, flour, roasted onions, butter, and hand cut fries for $18. $18. Or I don't even know what that is. But yeah. I guess we could go about half a pound. Yeah. I mean, is that a lot of steak though? Half a pound? Is that a lot of steak? I never pay attention to the or you can get a burger and fries and like this is like good food. It's not like a McDonald's burger. And that's only $10. Probably go over there and spend $50 right now. That's what it sounds like. If I drink, it's about to be $50. So I can just put on my shoes, wash my hands. Hold on, let me use this fingernail file because if there's some chicks over there, I gotta be on point. Oh, a steak in Miami is gonna be $180. You gotta add a zero. In Dallas, a steak would be $80. I paid $80. I went to what's the Double Eagle Steakhouse in Dallas? Del Frisco's. I went there and I got a New York strip, some fries, and a gin and tonic. You said we are, but you're not showing the city. Y'all are what? I went there and I paid $80 for a gin and tonic, steak, fries. No, steak and mac and cheese, and that was it. That was $80. You can get the same thing here for 18. Uh, the cut is I don't know what cut. I mean, it just says Angus, but I don't. That's not a cut. Uh, a chorizo steak, which I don't know what that is in English because it's not the same thing. Steak is expensive in Texas, Houston, Urban, and Bedford. Yeah. Oh, I cannot. That's one thing I didn't like about being in the States. Whenever I was over there and I came, whenever I had left Lima, where I'm eating for $5 and $10 big meals, and then I went to uh, Dallas, and I go to paying fucking a lot. Yeah, I was used to less. See, yeah, let me put on my socks and shoes, and I'm gonna wash my hands. And my hands ain't dirty. It's just I put oil on, so like my fingernails are like black because of that it's oil. And worldwide, black fingernails are an automatic disqualification. Rightfully so, because I met a chick in Buenos Aires, a Brazilian chick in Buenos Aires, and she had black fingernails, and I was like, yeah, she need to get the fuck out of my face. Shit, nasty as hell. You lost, literally. So usually, I would carry a shoehorn, but if you guys know, you can use a belt as a shoehorn. Also, one thing you never talked about is what the foreigners specifically like about American culture. What are they fascinated by? That's a good question. I'm gonna ask. That is a good question. What do you like about American culture? Make it quick because I don't want to talk about America for too long. A refugee. I just love the way how that softener makes your clothes smell. This shirt is not made by Nelvin Schumer, so it's a tailor-made shirt, but it's not made by Nelvin, so it's a little it's not as stretchy. So if you see it looks like my movements are restricted, it's because of that. So you do this. Oh wait, hold on. I don't have on any underwear. Hold on. Gotta wear underwear. You never know. I could drink too much and have an accident. Nah, I don't ever get that drunk. I don't even get drunk either. Anyway, uh yeah, I was wearing pants with no underwear because I didn't think I was going nowhere after this. Yesterday I was wearing a my well, no, the day before yesterday, I was wearing my black shirt with just with some shorts. Anyway, if you don't have a shoehorn, you could use your belt to put on your dress shoes. Because if you guys don't know, you should not just stuff your foot in the dress shoes. So you put the belt and you let it slide your foot in the shoe, like so. And that eliminates me having to carry around a metal shoehorn. Yeah, I had a dress shirt on with no underwear. I can't tell you how many days I don't walk around with no underwear. I gotta have easy access. They said TMI. Yeah, man, I don't walk around many days with no underwear. Now we're gonna put on my favorite cologne, the Tom Ford. Now, I don't like. Only time I'm not wearing no underwear is if there's no zipper. I wouldn't do that if there was a zipper. Well, I would actually. I do walk around with no underwear, even if there's a zipper on the pants. Fuck it. No, and that's another thing because the underwear can block it. Like I said, I need easy access. Easy access. Yeah, it's time for it. I would. I would. Let's see how much battery my phone has. Bring my small. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I find actually, so, oh man. Like if I was to stop searching, I would be lacking up for the rest of my time here. But still, the amount of work it took to do that was ridiculous. Okay. Let's see if let me make sure my camera, I mean my what you call it. I gotta bring the chapstick. I gotta bring the debit card or the credit card and some gum. Let me see if this microphone would even fit. Yeah, because I have to go. Yeah. Okay. Let me see how long this Uber take to pull up and drop me off. Let's see. What's the name of this place? There's another place that's literally walk. Let me see how cold it is. Actually, not cold at all. But there's another place that's walking distance I can walk to in like 5 minutes or less. that has really good food. Let me see if they have Wi-Fi at that place. Like Floyd said, let me see what she's saying. Hold on, let me see what she's saying. It's too late. It's too fucking late. Boy, Floyd is funny. It's too fucking late, you stupid ass bitch. Do they have Wi-Fi? Doesn't say it on Google, but that doesn't mean they don't have it. But this other place has. Let me look at their menu. They make strong caipirinhas, I'll tell you that. They have cheeseburgers, steak. They do have steak here too. So maybe I should go to the place that's 5-minute walking distance. Here's what I'll do. I'll walk 5 minutes. If they have Wi-Fi, I'll go there. If not, we will go to the place that I have to drive, that I have to get. Well, I don't have to drive. I'm just not walking to the other place. It's close enough to walk, but I'm not walking. We can go there. No, this shit might be a ripoff. That's not enough steak. No, okay, they have real steak. Okay, so that's 5 minutes away. But if they have Wi-Fi, it's good. I can't buy the data. No, when I go to their website, it's like, sorry, our website is having issues. Let me see. Pound 8486. Hold on. Let me see if the code is.
Boa noite. Você ligou para Vivo. Este aqui é o canal de atendimento para controle. Agora vou te enviar um número de protocolo por SMS. Se quiser ouvir, digita o 0. Se não precisa, é só ficar na linha que a gente já continua.
Preciso comprar a internet.
Certo. Eu já estou vendo aqui de qual número você está ligando. Se você quer falar sobre esse número mesmo, é só continuar na linha. Agora, se você quer falar de outro número vivo, digita estrela.
Well, it doesn't look like it's gonna work.
Aqui que você já consumiu 100% da sua internet. Então, se está ligando para comprar mais internet, digita 1. Mas se não, é só digitar 2 para a gente continuar.
Sim, comprar a internet digital.
Se você está ligando porque precisa comprar mais internet, digita 1. Mas se não é isso,
Digital. Digital.
Você está aí ainda? Se você está ligando porque precisa comprar mais internet, digita 1.
This shit is not even working. He's not telling me what button. Or he's not responding when I say anything either. Okay. So yeah, we'll walk across the street and we'll go from there. Thank you. Yeah, I got this shirt made in Tanzania. So I'm gonna end this live. Thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna go to the other spot, and when we get there, I will go live so you guys can see. I'll see you guys in a minute.